Hi, welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we have the honor of being blessed with the presence of Edward Paul. He is the president of the Gwinnett Branch of the NAACP.
Woo! Much love.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Paul. Or should we just call you Edward?
Edward is fine.
Perfect. All right. So it is serendipitous that we would have you here at this present time, because literally for the last few weeks, I have been telling our listeners, because we've been talking about the things that are happening in Washington and the impacts that they could potentially have on Black and brown folks, on Black folks. And one of the things that we've been saying is folks need to get involved. They need to engage. This is a time to activate, not necessarily to be like marching on Washington or anything like that, but this is the time to think locally.
That's right.
This is the time to act locally, to get involved in local politics, to get involved in organizations that are already doing the work. And the NAACP is one of the organizations that we've named. So if anyone's been listening for the last 2 weeks, you've heard us say, get involved with your NAACP because they do voter education. They do they also do voter registration. Every time there's an election cycle, the NAACP is having forums where you can ask questions of candidates.
Yes.
And so this is so important for our people in this day and time because so many people were misinformed about what this administration had planned. And we were very clear, those of us who were in the know, those of us who even took the time to read articles, to read even synopsis of Project 2025, knew that these things were going to happen because they laid out a blueprint of what they want this country to look like. So with that being said, Edward, tell us about the work that the NAACP is doing right now to just inform people, and because I know your boots on the ground. So tell us about what the Gwinnett Branch is doing.
So I'll do it twofold. I'll talk about national, and then I'll talk about what we're doing locally.
Okay.
Nationally, our national organization is, of course, challenging some of these executive orders in court. So like the one on the Department of Education, with executive orders being signed to kind of, stop all this funding and the resources from going to the schools, even though technically only Congress has the power to do that. So unless you see a bill passed in the House and the Senate at the federal level, money will still come to the schools for things like Pell Grants and things of that nature, and funding like for disabilities, for the K through 12 and things of that, and Title I schools. Only Congress has the power to do that, not the president. However, because there are a number of departments they are trying to shut down at that level, our national organization has sued because, again, he can stop them from keeping things like data. So data tracking what are the student achievement gaps between Black and white students? What are the, how does the United States public schools fare in comparison to other countries? All that data, that information can stop being tracked. And then, they can say, well, hey, there's no discrimination within the school system. Well, if you're not keeping track of the data, how can you prove it?
Absolutely.
So those are things that the national office are taking on, as well as challenge other executive orders that are out there and telling, having us to maybe boycott or not shop at places like Target and other corporations. They have a consumer advisory that's on the NAACP.org website, which businesses to avoid because they've stopped their DEI programs. Now, locally, what we're doing is just trying to, as you stated earlier, educate the masses on organizing at the local level, and also doing, things in the community. We recently had a health resource fair in February. We'll be looking to bring that back probably in the fall or maybe late summer. So as well as we're going to be having some Know Your Rights campaign as far as, getting stopped by law enforcement, as well as educating parents how to be advocates for their students. That'll be coming from our education committee. And then, of course, a number of events, Project 2025 Tuesday, we have a virtual event that'll be streaming on our Facebook and Gwinnett NAACP YouTube page and Twitter page. Educate people on Project 2025, what's happened, what's transpired, and what they can do. So locally, we just kind of been focused and also on what's happening with the state legislature. There's a lot of bad bills being passed at the state that people may not be paying attention to because it's not on the CNN and MSNBCs and Fox News, but these bills are not good. One of them being, there's a bill right now, excuse me for not knowing the number, but it is on our Facebook page because it's been all the numbers in my head, so I can't remember which number it is, but there is a bill right now at the state legislature that want to limit the ballot box, limit the early voting precincts to 1 per county. So just imagine,
I heard about that.
People trying to early vote, whereas Gwinnett, I think right now have about 12 to 13 early voting precincts, reduced to 1.
Back in the day, there you used to have to go down to voter registration was at the Gwinnett Justice Center. And so all early voting used to take place at the Justice Center. And I remember the line being, so this was like 2004, the line being all the way across, across the bridge inside of the Justice Center, going all the way back. Because it used to be on the second or the third floor, I believe it was. So anyway, and it took me all day one time to vote in, I believe it was the 2004 election. And I remember it was 2004 because I had a newborn. So when this is 20 years ago, 21 years ago, and Gwinnett has grown exponentially.
Yes, it has.
So can you imagine trying to go back to one spot to vote? That's to discourage people from voting.
Well, I mean, that's the idea. That Georgia is one of the first states to become majority non-white. So with those demographic shifts, the MAGA people, they're trying to, hold on to power. Specifically, unfortunately, members of the Republican Party in Georgia. They're trying to maintain this white power structure of control, and not wanting to have a multiracial society. And so they're trying to stave that off. They see the demographic shifts. So a lot of these bills are coming to hold that off and maintain control. And so we have to pay attention to what's happening at the state and local level, as you stated earlier.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to get involved with organizations like ours, because we keeping track of that. We're having conversations about that and advocating against that.
And speaking of, I want to try to share my screen over here.
I hopped on your Facebook page and you do have a ton of laws on here. So I would like for you to drop a few of those that are very important for individuals to not only know about, but when we talk about how they can get involved, how they need to go down to the Capitol and actually engage their local leaders. So I do want to stay on that just a little bit.
Yeah. Before we get onto that, I do want to share, as Edward had mentioned before, there will be a forum on Project 2025, Understanding the Impact and Mobilizing Our Community, 7:00 next Tuesday, April 21st. And you'll be joined by Latasha Mack and Dr. Stephanie Hodge. She's a Zeta. And that will it be streamed on Facebook and social media?
Yeah, this a virtual panel will be streaming live on the Gwinnett NAACP Facebook page and Gwinnett NAACP YouTube page and Twitter page.
So they need to go and follow you. Once this drops, they need to follow Gwinnett NAACP so that you can tune in next Tuesday, April 1st at 7 p.m. so that you can be a part of this important discussion.
Yes. And
Absolutely.
get all of the facts firsthand and ask questions. So when we
Absolutely.
say we don't have the information and we don't know who to vote for and we didn't know, I don't know how I missed that.
Because you didn't want to know. You didn't want to educate yourself.
Right, right. So you have the president of the Gwinnett NAACP branch. That's the word I was holding on for.
You can just say Gwinnett NAACP. That's fine.
There you go. There you go. So there's no excuses, right? You know, when y'all watch Conversations with Karen the Cat, you can follow us on KarenTheCat.com. We try to bring you the facts right from the horse's mouth. So there's no speculation or doubt. There's no misinformation here.
Absolutely.
So can you add another bill that you want us to keep an eye on? I know you mentioned that one, but could you just give us two more? I'm putting you on the spot.
I know you really are, because I ain't have all these bills in front of me.
You need to prepare people. You need to prepare people. We're gonna be asking questions, ma'am.
I did prepare him. I said we are unscripted and we gonna ask any and everything. Did I not, sir?
Yeah, but you did. When you're doing something specific, you got to kind of give them a heads up, Cat.
I did do that. We want to talk about law.
Okay, well, I'm gonna scroll down that page because I've been sharing a bunch of them off our page.
That's what I'm talking
about. The bill I was referring to, that, and again, this would have been a good bill had they not put this clause, because the bill was allowing, and this House bill is Georgia House Bill 397. This bill initially was put in to allow municipal elections. So for those who don't know, this is a year where there are going to be a bunch of city council and mayoral races throughout all the 17 municipalities. 16, because Mulberry just had theirs. But the other 16 municipalities, not named Mulberry, will have local elections. So this bill was going to open up a Saturday early voting for those municipalities, allow them to have Saturday voting for early voting. But they threw this little clause in there that says, hey, we want to limit the early voting precincts to just one per county.
Wow.
Again, absolutely ridiculous bill to have voter suppression. I mean, they're trying to stave off people participating in voting. A lot of Republican voters are upset with what's happening with the federal administration. So again, it's not only affecting, Democratic voters or independent voters, it's going to affect all voters, period, regardless of demographic or political party affiliation, because they know some Republican voters are upset and they may vote a different way for that frustration. So this is a bill to just try to limit those voters and have only a small pool of voters vote.
These are Jim Crow era type laws.
Right? They are, absolutely are. Another bill that's out here right now that I talk about is Georgia House Bill 268. Okay. This is a bill that is creating a database that will have surveillance put on K through 12 students. So if you got a child from elementary school to high school, they want to create a database that monitors how many times they're getting disciplined. Basically, it's a bill that's creating a school to prison pipeline.
Yes.
Right.
So this is a bill that we've shared, that some of our partners have posted. That's a bill we need to pay attention to, keep our eyes on.
What was that bill number again?
It is HB 268. House Bill 268.
Okay. I need to make sure I'm monitoring that myself.
I know, right?
So now there's some other bills that are passed. I think this one's passed. This is K through 8, so kindergarten. That's what the K is for those who may not be with the school lingo. K is for kindergarten. K through 8th grade, they passed the bill, or at least it's on the governor's desk to pass, to basically not allow children to have their cell phones out in class. So it's going to limit cell phone usage in class. That's one of the bills that has already passed.
And isn't that going to cost parents the pouch? The parents have to pay for the pouch that the phones go in, something like that?
I have to read more up on it, how they're going to do the process. Yeah, how it's going to be implemented, and what that means for parents. But I do know it is a bill that's basically Governor Kemp is going to sign it. So it's going to become law. It's debatable whether that's good or bad, because again, with all the school shootings, a lot of parents would like their children to have access to their phones.
Yeah.
There was a shooting, I think, in one of the recent school shootings. One of the children was the ones that reached out to the parent to let them know, hey, there's an active shooting.
What was happening. Yeah.
So, we'll see how the community reacts to that particular bill. I see the pros and cons with it, but again, that's a bill that's already passed. There's another bill.
Why couldn't they just allow this to be decided on a district by district level? Like, let the school district decide if how they want to deal with cell phones and electronic devices.
It definitely could have been decided by the school boards across the county, but again, we're dealing with a very froggy state legislature right now, because they control all the levels of power at the federal apparatus. So we can't be surprised by some of the things they're trying to just ram down people's throat, because
it's always amazing that the right always wants to talk about states' rights, local control, states' rights, local control. But then when it comes to areas that they can't control, particularly like if it's a red state and then you have a democratically controlled county or city, they want to make laws at the state level that apply to, they want to control local government as well, rather than letting local government govern itself. I know you got to have state laws, but then, there's also some local control as well, and they'll make policies from the state that actually are targeting specific areas. Like, they're doing some legislation, trying to do some legislation that's targeting the Gwinnett County School Board. They've done some things that have targeted DeKalb and Fulton. So, and with the impetus that it's to be applied throughout the state, but there was a target for the law.
Well, they won't control as long as it's white nationalists control. So if it's white nationalists control local government, then they don't care. But if the people don't look like them or share their particular set of politics, which is white nationalism, then they want to exercise government control. I mean, again, we're seeing that with federal government, right? We're seeing them coming in and just taking over everything, allowing Elon Musk to look at everybody's information, and he's not even an elected official. But hey, nobody, it's okay, because again, you got, and he's a white nationalist. He supports white nationalism. So you're not getting, you're starting to get some outcry because of some of the things that are going to be cut because of the people that it's going to affect. But again, that didn't show up on election day because, as you already stated, Project 2025, they kind of told you that this was going to happen. I mean, they spent over $20 million on that document. So I mean,
literally, it's a blueprint.
Exactly. So none of it should have surprised anyone. It was no spoiler alert. You knew what the script was going to be.
I think it surprised people because people didn't, one, read it, two, take it to heart. Another thing was actually, I don't want to say comprehend, but literally digest it, because it was massive. And for the everyday person to just sit down and take it bit by bit, it was overwhelming. I don't think people really took the time to digest it. And so that's why we need people like you and your organization who can have a dedicated team, which there are organizations that had dedicated teams to break this stuff down and give this information out. One point I want to add before I want you to tie in what's happening to the 2025 so that people can actually see the parallel, that this stuff is real. Because I also don't feel like people sense the urgency in our community while we're not protesting, while we are understanding the assignment for the 92% club. I still want people to see what else they can do while they can advocate withholding their dollars. They still can have movement through their actions. One thing with the phone bill, House Bill 268, that's surveillance, the one with the cell phones that just passed.
Right.
I saw a young lady say, a student in middle school on the news, she was saying she wished they would educate the students on how to properly use their phones in schools so that they don't have them taken away. And I like that. And I know that one of the things that I like and we like on this podcast is giving our young people a voice and asking them how they would like to be treated with their cell phones. Because like you said, it was a student who helped save the day, right? To get that information out. So to me, the more people who can sound the alarm is a good thing. So let's train our kids and teach them what's responsible for cell phone use and what's not responsible cell phone use, especially if we're going to start as early as elementary school, because by the time they get to high school, they'll know what to do and what not to do. So with that, and then the second point I wanted to say before I forget, with Gwinnett County School Board, with the could you speak about the actual legislation that the House or the Capitol tried to do specifically to Gwinnett, and what the NAACP viewpoint was on that regarding the school board? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's House Bill 767.
There you go.
So 767 was a bill that was bipartisan, which means both Democrat and Republican elected officials passed. Initially, the bill had in there to pretty much target Gwinnett County only. And part of that bill was to pretty much cap if the school board terminated a superintendent contract. So it wouldn't have been retroactive to Dr. Watts, but the next superintendent that's coming in, if they terminate that particular superintendent contract before it had a chance to be up, and of course the county would be spending all these tax dollars to buy out, her or his contract, then it would reduce their salaries to $50 per, I think, school board meeting, or whenever they meet, they just will pay them a $50 stipend. Right now, I want to say the school board makes somewhere between $22,000 to $24,000 a year. So it just would reduce their salary as a way to punish them for, spending out tax dollars. Our stance on that was we was totally against it, because we don't like any bill that just singles out a particular county or a particular elected official or a particular group of elected officials. We get the intent and the spirit of it, because as an organization, we were not happy with the board making the decision to remove the superintendent, mainly because there was no public input prior to the decision being made. There was no effective communication on why that was the top priority of the school board members that made that decision to start the school year, especially with one of the board members just being, freshly sworn in, so haven't even had a chance to get her feet wet yet to learn, the board and, but get up to speed on what the superintendent plans were and where they was at. So again, we did want to see a bill to rein in not only Gwinnett County, because again, this is kind of foreign for Gwinnett to be be on a third superintendent in 4 years. We had one superintendent for 25 years, and he was not by any means perfect. He was problematic. And after 25 years, the issue with the discipline being kind of out of control, Gwinnett had at that time having one of the highest discipline rates, double the next metro county among Black and brown students. In my opinion, it was time, for a change with that particular superintendent. Could have been handled a little bit better, and could the board had, built that case up to justify the change prior to just making the change with the community? Yes, that could have been handled a lot smoother. This particular decision we did not understand, because the discipline rates were going in the right direction. The school system had improved not only the predominantly white or Caucasian schools, but these were Title I schools, which are predominantly low income, predominantly Black and brown schools, were some of the top schools in the state. So we did not understand the decision to do that. And then looking at some of the predominantly Black high schools, I'm seeing they had graduation rates higher than they've ever been, in the last 30 years. So it just was very puzzling. And so again, we get the intent of the bill. We felt like it could have been a better bill had the state legislature reached out to advocates like us and asked for better input, because again, we would never support any bill, regardless of how we feel about an elected official's decision to do things. We would never support a bill that targets just that elected official. Again, school boards getting rid of superintendents and causing disruption in high school, and eventually doing that, often hurting the school system. That's something that's happening throughout Georgia and throughout the country. I'm not going to single out any particular school systems now, but there are school systems within Metro Atlanta that we know are underperforming school systems. And the pattern you see is they change out superintendents every 2 to 3 years, which keeps changing the direction of the school system. And it's why the school system is not performing at a high level.
APS for years.
I mean, you said it, not me. I'm not saying it.
I mean, anyone who's been living in Atlanta for the last, 10, 15 years knows that APS had a revolving door of superintendents. And so, we saw it, and there was no state intervention then.
Right.
And they were going through them. So, why this interest in Gwinnett?
Right.
I think it's twofold. I think one, you do have passionate state legislatures that see that Gwinnett's got a good public school system, don't want to see it start to slip, and so they was trying to be proactive. I just think that, again, they could have created a better bill that, in our opinion, we're looking for transparency and accountability. So we would have wanted as an organization, we would have wanted a bill that created that transparency and accountability, not necessarily cutting anybody's salaries. But again, we wouldn't have wanted that just for Gwinnett. We would have wanted that for all.
Something that was uniform and across the board.
Exactly. Correct. So something that will hold all school boards accountable. You just can't be spending taxpayers' dollars and then not letting the taxpayer have input on these decisions that you're making. You have to give them a reason of why you're doing what you're doing, allow them to voice their concerns. And if you're going to go against your voters, then they'll make you pay at the ballot box come elections.
Right.
That's right.
That's the important part. And so one of the things that we've also said is that, a lot of folks sat on their hands last November in 2024. And we've got these midterm elections coming up in 26. Folks got to get, and I said it right here. Folks got to get off their ass.
Yes.
And get to the polls. Grab your neighbor, grab your cousin, grab your auntie, grab your mama. You got to get to the polls. If we want to stop, not you, if we want to stop the hemorrhaging, if we want to stop Project 2025, we have to remove the people who are in Congress. And for those folks who are on the ballot in 26, who are just giving him a pass, they need to go. And that includes some Democrats as well, because Chuck Schumer and some of these other ones, I call them the dirty 10. Yes, I'm saying it.
We dropped all their names.
You ain't got to say it. Chuck Schumer, we called them the dirty 10 last week. The dirty 10 who went along with the continuing resolution to fund the government when they had the ability to say, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. They did not. And so they went along to get along.
Yep.
And we don't need any more of that. We need more AOCs and, and sister from Texas. Yeah, what's her name?
Jasmine Crockett.
We need more Jasmine Crockett's and AOCs who will stand up in the well of Congress and speak truth to power, power being those in the Republican Party that are the administration, who are giving this man a free reign and a rubber check to do whatever he wants to do. Right now, they're talking as if there are not three co-equal branches of government. And now we just heard the Speaker of the House just say that Congress has the power to do away with federal courts. And folks, if you're not afraid, you need to be afraid, because it's federal courts that have stood in the way to stop segregation. It was federal courts. It was federal courts that went down to, the schools in the South to say, you got to allow these students in there. It was federal judges who've always stood, not always, but at least within the last 50 years, have been the enforcement for any gains that we as Black people have had.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important that we get out and vote. I can't stress it enough that we no more sitting on our hands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say this: the first thing we got to do is we do got to vote. I'm not disagreeing. I'm gonna say both and. Black people got to get part of an organization.
Yes. That's okay.
Individuals don't beat institutions.
Yes.
Right.
And so voting should be an interruption of our organizing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say organizing, and part of organizing means being part of some type of entity that's doing that work in the community in terms of voting, civic engagement, whatever the particular thing that floats your boat around education, around health, get involved. That's step one.
Mm-hmm.
Join an organization. That's step one. Then step two, I would say, we definitely got to exercise our right to vote, and part of being part of the organization, so you can know why you're voting the way you're voting. We understand that there are no perfect candidates. We understand that there are white nationalism that's in the Democratic Party, just like it is in the Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But if we are not organized to make sure that the things that we want to see improve in our communities get improved, then you will have some people say, hey, I voted and my situation ain't changed. Part of being able to change your situation is getting involved with an organization. So when you put that elected official in office, you hold them accountable for the things that they said they was going to do, and the agendas that your organization, that you being a part of, are going to be pushed on that particular elected official so that they can execute what you're organizing around. So we do need to vote, not just in 2026, but we got elections in 2025. So people got city council races, mayoral race. I want to emphasize that we got public service commissioner that will be on the ballot. And for those who may not know what that is, I won't get into that tonight, but we do have a civic education forum on public service commission that'll be probably in April or May. Just follow us on Facebook, and
please
you'll
send
learn
me that information.
Please. A lot of people don't know what those roles are. So I love that you're going to have the civic engagement like 101, because that's something that, again, when we say take action, this is what we have to do. We have to re-educate ourselves, take us all the way back to class, go back to base. And guess what? It's like I said before, it is okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say I've never been engaged, but I want to get engaged today. And that's all that matters. Not where you've been, it's where you're going. And step up and do it today. You're not alone. We're here to help you, give you the information, plug into the NAACP or any organization that speaks to you. And so this is where you can start right now. Make sure y'all check out some previous episodes of Conversations with Karen and Kat, because we named some other episodes, some other things that you can do. And this is just divine intervention, how we were able to get this president right here to kind of come right at the end of what we were talking about already. And hopefully we'll have some more leaders that can help give you some more ideas and inspiration and empowerment, because together we can make this thing happen. We ain't new to this. We ain't new to this. Everything that's coming down the pipe.
You need to get out my head.
That's why we like this.
You need to get out of my head. Because I was literally going to interject and say that the NAACP is not new to this. They are true to this. Because let's not forget that we would have not had a Brown versus the Board of Education with Thurgood Marshall arguing it if it was not for the NAACP. It was the NAACP that was fighting these cases in federal courts across the country. Brown versus the Board of Education wasn't the only case that Thurgood Marshall and that team of lawyers, it wasn't just him, a team of lawyers were litigating across the country. So the NAACP has been in this fight for well over 100 years. Making sure and ensuring that we have access to education, economic justice, environmental justice, education. I mean, you name it, and the NAACP has been on the forefront. And we're highlighting the NAACP. There are other organizations, but what we're telling you is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. That are organizations that are doing the work.
That's right.
I happen to be a member of an AME church in Lithonia. And our social action committee is engaged in these sort of things as well. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is having a forum for the Public Service Commission and
Yeah.
educating people on what that is and who the persons are that are running for those offices. So, Brother Paul, I thank you for your work. I know you've got some other things that are coming up that we want to highlight, and you could tell us about some dates you have coming up in April and
Sure.
September.
Sure. So the first thing I want to tell everybody, if you want to join, we got probably the cheapest membership of anybody in the world. It's only $30 to become a member at GwinnettNAACP.com. You go to www.GwinnettNAACP.com. Sign up and join. It's $30 for adult membership, $10 for youth membership, $75 for a life membership of 10 payments, not just the 75. You got to do it 10 times annually or monthly. It's up to you. So as far as upcoming events, as I stated earlier, we're going to go over Project 2025 on April the 1st. That'll be streamed live on our social media page, on the Gwinnett NAACP Facebook page, as well as YouTube page. Again, we're going to talk about, some of these executive orders that has been passed, how that connects with Project 2025. We're going to talk about, where is Project 2025 going with all of this? So what's the destination? And then finally, what can we do as Black people in our community and other groups, anybody that want to stand against what's happening with Project 2025. So other, Black, Asian, Hispanic, white, anybody that's going to want to stand against sort of this white nationalist elite propaganda. Because people got to understand, I think white people, when they looked at Project 2025, they thought it may only harm non-white folks. And they're finding out in real time, this is going to harm all of us unless you was in the white billionaire, millionaire class. But if you wasn't in that sort of white elite, you was going to be impacted by what happened. So we're going to talk about that. April the 10th is our 53rd anniversary, our 53rd Founders Day.
Okay.
Yes, so it'll be 53 years we've been as an organization in Gwinnett County, our particular branch. Our national organization has been around for 116 years, but we specifically in Gwinnett County have been here for 53 years. April 10, 1972 was our original charter date, so we'll be celebrating 53 years of that at the Gwinnett Justice and Administration Building, 7 p.m. at the auditorium, as you see on the flyer. We also will have on May 17th, and I don't have the flyer with me, but it will be posted on our Facebook and Instagram page. We're going to celebrate 100 years of Malcolm X. It'll be his 100th birthday.
Oh, that's good.
So we will have guest speakers.
What date is that again?
It's going to be on May 17th.
Okay, my sons will be home from college by then. Okay,
that's on a Saturday. There's a lot of graduations that weekend, but it's going to take place that weekend, that Saturday, which would be Morris Brown. So unless you have a child that's graduating at Morris Brown, if you're able to attend, please come. It's only going to probably be about $10 or $15 for members, and maybe $15, $20 to get in for non-members of the organizations that'll be part of that, because that'll be something we're going to do in partnership with the United Ebony Society and the Panhandle. So that'll be May 17th. I think it's going to be it's that Saturday. I want to say the time is 12 to 2.
Okay.
12 to 3 p.m. But don't quote me on that. It'll be around that. Like I said, the flyer will be coming out within the next few days.
Okay.
And
we're going to share. We'll share these flyers on our website.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And on our social media. And you've got something else coming up on September 20th. There's a save the date, right?
I'm building my way up to that. Other thing is Juneteenth. We'll be on June 21st. That'll be in Rose, Jordan. That'll be in partnership with the Panhandle and the United Ebony Society. Flyer soon to come.
Okay.
Says June.
I know
21st.
You're just a busy man.
I know. And then finally, to go to what you're talking about, we do have our Freedom Fund banquet. That'll be September 20th. I'm hoping we get the special guest that I think we're gonna get. I won't say the name until I get it confirmed. But if he shows up, it's going to be a great event. You better get your tickets quickly, because if we get the guest that I think we're going to get.
Are we getting Barack?
I can't reveal that.
I know, right?
I'll put it like this.
Is it Michelle?
Get the guest I think we're going to get. Y'all going to be competing with everybody in Metro Atlanta to come.
Is it going to be Michelle?
So when we put the tickets out there, y'all better go ahead and sign, especially to our members. If you're a member of the NAACP, you're going to get your first chance to get your Freedom Fund ticket. So you better try to beat the rest of the general public to get.
And so, Brother Paul, tell us how we can become members of
I was about to say, you
Gwinnett
better try to be members
of
so
the
they can get tickets, honey. They ready to get their tickets.
So go to www.GwinnettNAACP, like what's on my hat.com. And then just scroll down the page, or you'll see when you go to the website, the first thing you probably will see is a join button. So hit that join button and fill out that information. Right now, this flyer has not came out. I think it's coming out tomorrow, so I'll give y'all a little heads up, even though I do think this video will probably be out by the time the flyer will. But we will have anybody that joins that get a life membership. So if you sign up, you ain't got to pay the whole $750. Yeah, there go the join button right there.
Yep.
You got to pay the whole $750. But if you pay the first payment of those 10 payments, which is $75 for a life membership, you will go into a raffle with an opportunity to win either a laptop if you win first place. Second place will win a $100 voucher to Flavor Rich Restaurant, as well as a $50 movie. So it's like a dinner and a movie combination. Place. It'll be a $50 gift card to AMC. And then third place,
it's about $20 to get to the movies now.
Right.
And then third place will get a date night to Paint and Twist. So you'll get two tickets to Paint and Twist, where I think you can draw and do all types of cool stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna be nice.
So again, that's GwinnettNAACP.com to sign up to become a member.
Yes.
Or renew your membership.
Absolutely. And life memberships is available for that. Again, if you got a regular adult $30 membership, you can upgrade, pay the $75 and get the life membership, and you'll get a raffle.
Nice.
Yeah. And don't forget our young people.
Yes.
Young people. Tell us about your youth programs.
So we do have a Gwinnett NAACP Youth Council right now. They're having elections, so we are looking for a new president, since the current Madam President, Alana Atkins, her and her family is getting ready to move back to California. So that's going to leave a vacant spot for our president. So we definitely are looking for people to run for elected office. So I think the positions are president, secretary, assistant secretary, treasurer, assistant treasurer. So those are some of the positions that'll be on the ballot for the youth. So definitely it's only $10 to become a youth member. And then their life membership, I think if you're under 13, you can pay $100 and you don't have to pay it again. Till you age out of 13. And then the from 13 till 24, you can pay 10 payments of $50 or a total of $500, and that's their bronze life membership. And all those life payments do go as a credit toward any adult life payment. So if you made $100 payment when your mama paid, your mother, when your mama or daddy paid $100 when you were 6 years old, when you age out of that life membership and become 13, instead of paying $500, you only got to pay $400 to pay the bronze. And then that $500 that you pay for the junior and the bronze, when you become an adult and your mama said you got to pay your own membership for the NAACP. Now, our civil life membership is $750. We'll take that $500 that you paid when you was a youth and credit that towards the $750, and you only owe $250 to pay off your adult life membership.
Oh, that's a blessing. That's real good.
It is.
Well, brother, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on out. The one last question so we can go is, how do you take care of your mental health while you're out there hitting these streets and doing the work that you do?
I try to get as much rest as I can when I can. Of course, I love to read. I listen to podcasts like you all when I'm driving, just to get skilled up. So yes. And so, but yeah, I definitely try to read, try to get sleep when I can, just to try to pace myself. Getting back in the gym, try to, lose a few pounds for this Freedom Fund banquet. I can't have my wife. She done dropped about, 10 or 15 pounds. I can't have her looking all slim and trim, and I don't keep up with her. So those are some of the things I'm doing.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We like to always try to dismantle the negativity surrounding mental health. So we always like to talk about it so we can start silencing the shame. So thank you so very much for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for having me. Hopefully we'll do it again, do a check-in again in a few months.
Absolutely. We would love to have you back. Absolutely. Anytime. And for our listeners, as always, we want to thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.